Okay, well, like it's along that line, then we'll kind of switch a little bit here. There's a lot of skeptics, and well, the guy coming way out from left field, they're getting all this, but you must have somewhere along the line in your investigation come to some aspect of where there was an image or there was some noises that are I'm not understanding they shouldn't be there. They're not natural for that location. Say I'm one of those skeptics, and you're explaining to me what you do now. You try to allow, come on, give me a break. But now you've actually through some of your investigations, and I would suspect that you have to have some successes. And as long as we're there on these investigations, how many, from scale of 1 to 100, percentage-wise, how many do you feel that 5%, 10%, 15% of some of these investigations you do get an image or you do get a sound that does not belong there?
Okay. Well, most of our investigations, just through our screening process, we can usually tell if it's going to be something that we can check out or not. I usually tour with one of the staff members to see where the experiences took place. Initially, I want to go there and I want to see if maybe it was something that was easily done, or was it impossibly done. If it was easily done, we look at natural things. One of the biggest things that we have in houses, unshielded wires actually produce high EMF levels. EMF would be electromagnetic fields. Anything over 2 milligauss on that reading will actually start to produce paranoia. You start feeling like you're watched. You might become uneasy. So if we have a claim like that, we'll go in, we'll check it out with our tools, do kind of a pre-investigation, see if we can debunk some stuff right off the bat. Now, if there's something that we can't do at that time, maybe something moved, maybe something continues to move, we actually want to set up with video equipment. We want to see if we can capture it in the process. Don't get me wrong, we have been on investigations where we have gone in, investigated, and we found nothing. Nothing to support the claims of activity that are going on. At that point, usually the people who invited us in, they're a little upset because they wanted us to capture something, but we can't say it happened if it didn't. But as far as the skeptics go, there's always going to be skeptics. I'll be the first to admit, our equipment that we use isn't designed to capture what many believe to be ghosts. Video cameras are just meant to film. Obviously if something moves, you can capture that. But you're not going to be able to videotape something that you see completely with the human eye. Let's face it, the human eye is a lot more high resolution than a video camera will ever be. As far as audio work, most of the recorders we use are used for interviews. They're used for classroom settings. They just are made to pick up voices. Little did we know that they also pick up other frequencies that we can't hear. And that's where we get into the EVPs, or electronic voice phenomena, is once you record it, we'll have 2 investigators present, for security and for our own team integrity use. If investigator A records something, leaves his pauses, they don't hear any other noises, and investigator B can back that up, and then on playback we catch something that seems to respond to a question, I can't explain that. But as far as photographs and stuff go, our organization's stance on photographs is that we don't use them. The only time we'll ever be taking pictures is if we're trying to document the environment, especially for our website, or for anybody who says, well, we understand you were at this case, what did you see? What was the environment like? Was it drafty? Was it sunny? How big was the room? So for those purposes we'll use it. A lot of groups, they use the photos for everything. And you can debate back and forth which is a better way to record it, digital photography, or you're looking at the old film loaded cameras. It doesn't matter, because with a photograph, you just have that moment. You don't have what led up to it, and you don't have what happened after it, as you do with video and audio. So, I mean, as far as skeptics go, there'll always be them, but, integrity is a big thing, and hopefully we can help those that are looking at having problems, and they're experiencing this daily in their life or their business or homes. And maybe we can convert some of the skeptics to look at our work and say, well, I don't understand what happened there. Because that's all we're trying to do, is trying to document the claims. So,
yeah, so like I said, it sounds like to me when you're talking that you kind of go in there with show me, so that you're not going in there really looking for you're maybe going in there as a skeptic yourself, and you're approaching it that way, and you try to be unbiased, and you just take what the people tell you. And this point here, as long as you're saying something like that, and we get into the museum after. What after you've interviewed the client, if you want to call them as such, you then go into the facility, and so explain how you talk to the client. He says, well, we heard this here, we saw this there, and there might be, say, 2 or 3 spots that they feel something has happened. Now, you set up your equipment for audio and visual?
Yep. To the viewers out there, if you guys have ever seen Ghost Hunters on Sci-Fi, my group is actually a Minnesota representative for the TAPS family. We got the TAPS family accreditation because we investigate a lot like them. So, I mean, it's nothing too beyond what you see on their show. When we do the tour and we actually come in to do the investigation, then we notice the hot spots. The hot spots are the places that experiences and activity have occurred per the client. So we'll set up our equipment there. We'll set up usually we'll set up video cameras if something moved or if something was witnessed. Obviously you want to capture something visual there. As far as audio goes, we'll note the audio spots. And we'll get into more of this later, to use an example. But we'll notice that. We'll notice that, okay, audio was heard here, voices, footsteps, whatever you want to call it. We'll go back to that area during our investigation. We'll sit down, let recorders run, and then what we do is we ask questions. We ask, just simple, brief questions in a respectful manner. State who you are, so they know it's just like me and you are talking. I'll say a question, leave that response time absolutely open and silent. Ask another question, and so forth and so on until you run out of questions or you think you've done it a good enough time frame. And then on playback, which we'll get into later on when we actually go through the evidence, you might hear something. But as far as when we go into some place, we just note the hot spots, set it up. If we're running video, we're actually just going to leave that run. We're not going to interfere. We'll just kind of tape it off, make sure nobody was back there, because a lot of times we capture shadows, so we don't want to have somebody back there casting a shadow and not know about them. So we'll just absolutely seal that part off. That way we know nobody was back there, nobody was messing around with our equipment or messing around with what we're trying to capture. So.